My name is Michael Gitonga. Our sign language interpreter this afternoon is Marisha Owiti. After blowing the whistle about undue pressure to force prosecution of Kenya's Auditor General Edward Ouko, the Director of Public Prosecution Keriako Tobiko has released a file in which he has dismissed the proposed charges against Ouko. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission had investigated the Auditor General and several other people over the procurement of 100 million worth of Audit Vault software. The EACC wanted Edward Ouko charged with abuse of office and failure to comply with procurement law. But the DPP has said there is no evidence to sustain charges against the Auditor General. Instead, Tobiko has approved corruption charges against Deputy Auditor General in charge of corporate services, Stephen Kinothia. Others the DPP wants prosecuted for corruption and handling suspect property are Charles Gishovi, the sales executive at Oracle Kenya, Annette Mwangi, an IT manager in the Office of the Auditor General, and Justice Ongera, the IT director at the Auditor General's office. Tobiko has also approved charges of money laundering against OC Kenya Limited, Mars Technology Associates, Finsoft ICT Limited, Holdings, Nanazi Investments Limited, and Kenya Milk Farmers Investments Limited, and all the directors of those companies. We will bring you more on this as the story develops. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced the signing of a deal that will see the return of French company Peugeot's assembly plant to Kenya. Another deal worth 18.7 billion Kenyan shillings has also been signed with the company to help secure water provision in Nairobi and its environs. The deals were signed at State House earlier on a while ago.
We have the great chance to have a very skilled, serious partner in Eurasia, and based on this strong partnership, I have to tell you that on our ranking in my region of our partners, in terms of quality and everything, is ranked in the top 5. Thank you very much. We missed you, Kenya. We are back in the assembly. Thank you very much.
And we have worked hard to make Kenya the most attractive destination for investment in this region. And that has meant cutting the red tape, the thicket of rules and regulations which had grown up and which threatened to choke off the growth of business and investment in Kenya. It means transparency in the prices of inputs. It means real work to cut the costs of transport and energy. And that is why we have put so much more power into the grid and why we are building the standard gauge railway while making sure that it directly benefits Kenyan industry. We have also worked hard to remove barriers for Kenyan investors who want to invest in their own country. We have cut interest rates on loans, and that is why, through this process, put more capital in the hands of our young people and other once marginalized groups.
And in Bomet, the Governor Isaac Ruto is hosting leaders of the opposition National Super Alliance NASA today. Let's join our reporter Irene Mwangi, who is in Bomet. And we expect NASA leaders and the KANU Secretary General at the event. But is it an event led by Bomet Governor, or is it a Mashinani rally event to unveil a merger? Irene Mwangi, we join him now. And Irene, is this a merger, or what exactly is the event that we're expecting this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Mike. This is the first public rally of the National Super Alliance, but we understand that it is happening here in Bomet at the invitation of the host governor, Isaac Ruto, whose party Chama cha Mashinani, he says, has been in constant communication with other political players and predominantly the National Super Alliance leaders, with preparations, of course, to broker consensus on a takeaway for the party Chama cha Mashinani, as well as consideration of policies that Isaac Ruto, by his own admission, he says would boost the lives of residents here, as well as the devolution which he alleges has been under systematic attack from the Jubilee regime. I put the same question to him yesterday, whether the function that is happening here today is the official entry of Chama cha Mashinani into NASA, and he said that the talks have been ongoing for some time and there are no timelines to when these talks will end, and that he is seeking a consideration of the implementation of his policies, which he says the Jubilee regime has failed to do so, predominantly on the issue of devolution. Key representation from the main founding parties in NASA, let's talk of ODM as well as Wiper and Musalia Mudavadi's ANC party, as well as a representation from Ford Kenya. And key figures that are attending this function here are the 12 members of the committee that had been set up to broker consensus on the NASA presidential candidate, Mike.
All right, and well, what's that mood in the grounds where you are? What are the numbers? Are there many people? What's the general mood that you have on the ground?
I didn't quite get your question, Mike, but of course the statement from Isaac Ruto yesterday when I spoke to him was that there's no longer any more talks between him and the Jubilee regime, because according to him they have failed to implement what he believes would be the key needs of the residents of Bomet as well as the country at large. But he says that entry to NASA is a consideration for him. Remember, KANU's Secretary General Nick Salat has confirmed that he will be attending the function here, much as he has been overruled in previous instances by the National Executive Committee for seeming to make a decision on behalf of the party. But he has said that he will be attending the function here in his capacity as a resident of this county and the Secretary General of KANU. Mike.
All right, final question, Murimi, before we let you go. Has there been any hostility from Jubilee supporters? There was word that there may be a bit of hostility from Jubilee supporters. Have you got any of that on the ground?
Well, initially, Mike, there were reports that there would be disruption of the function happening here today. But of course, there's no sign of that here in Bomet. And this function, even from the assurance of the security officers here as well as the governor, was going to be peaceful. There has not been any attempts whatsoever for disruption of the function here. And as you can see, tens of residents here have turned up for what is arguably a decision or seemingly a function that seems to give the direction on the decision that ultimately will be taken by Chama Shinani with regard to the 2017 general election. Mike.
Thank you very much, Murimi Mwangi, our reporter who is in Bomet County, where we are expecting the rally to begin. Isaac Ruto hosting the NASA part of the coalition, and of course details of that will continue coming in as the rally begins. Let's move on to another story. Some members of the University Academic Staff Union this morning stormed the Kisumu campus of the University of Nairobi after it was claimed that lecturers were still going on despite ongoing lectures strike. The union members were, however, denied entry into the campus by police officers at the gate. The officers only allowed students to access the institution. The union officials claimed the university has hired quacks to teach students.
Forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
When we start having policemen put in the compound of campuses and universities to block lecturers from accessing even the library, I think that is now something that we must go into.
We see a lie being told to the students and the country that activities are normal here. It's only possible that they have hired fake lecturers and people from the streets to cover up for what we know is not right. We stopped our colleagues from working and all of them are not here. Those that are here are probably fake lecturers who are basically telling students that since they paid, they need to get service.
Great to start your weekend there with Zumba, and that's where we're going to take a break. This is Weekend at 1. We'll be right back with more stories making headlines. Do stay with us. Good afternoon and welcome back to Weekend at 1. 2 years after the beatification of Sister Irene Stephanie at Gikondi, Nyeri County, a state-of-the-art shrine has been constructed at the site. More pilgrims continue to stream in to visit the area where Sister Stephanie began her charity work. According to the postulator of the beatification process, Father Peter Githinji, the shrine has cost them about 4 million shillings. It has been constructed in memory of the late Italian sister who lived among Kenyans and taught them about the gospel. She died and was buried in Kenya, and her remains are preserved at Our Lady Consolata Catholic Cathedral in Nyeri town. In 2015, in a ceremony that was attended by pilgrims from across the world, Sister Irene Stephanie was beatified after Pope Benedict VI issued a decree.
Her to her heroic virtues. This way they were staying like a convent with other sisters. This was her dispensary. And that's why we maintain the artistic, the old structures. So this will be the first phase of Blessed Irene Shrine for her to be remembered here in Gikondi. We have put up what we have now from well-wishers, Christians of goodwill. And people who come here, they make donations, who come to a cathedral, they make donations, and we are able to put up this.
Some leaders in Siaya County have reported to adopting voter registration centers and mobilizing people to register as voters. The county has registered the least number of voters new in Nyanza region. Rashid Ronald with this report.
Meet our leaders from the entire Siaya County.
Having registered the least number of new voters, Siaya County is doing all it can to change the numbers. The campaign has cropped in the provincial administration, a key component in the issuance of identity cards.
From when we started till yesterday, the total numbers for Ugunja constituency, 2,552. Alaibo constituency, so far from day 1 to yesterday, registered 5,967. 5,967.
A few kilometers from here, Siaya Governor Cornelius Rasanga is also meeting leaders in an effort to compel them to lead the campaign in their respective areas in the county. In fact, the IEBC here is asking leaders to lead from the front.
So the consultation is that we are going to have committees formed at the ward level by the various leaders, and the adopt polling station is going to be implemented at that place. And so from now henceforth, we think it's going to work so that those who have not been registered will register.
Siaya County is home to CORD leader Raila Odinga. 2 weeks ago, Raila summoned all the governors and the other leaders from Nyanza and warned them of the consequences of low numbers. Rashid Ronald, KTN News, in the county of Siaya.
And that's it from Weekend at 1. And from Marisha Owiti, the sign language interpreter, and myself, wish you a good afternoon. But do stay with us right here on KTN News. Coming up next is Africa Journal. God bless.